In 2022, the world watched as one man secured a third term, breaking decades of tradition. In the Great Hall of the People, under a giant hammer and sickle, he stood surrounded by thousands of silent, disciplined officials. He is called the Paramount Leader, the core of the Communist Party. But 50 years ago, this very same man was a homeless outcast, sleeping on a brick bed in a flea-infested cave. How did a boy who was once a victim of the state become the state itself? This is the story of Xi Jinping. To understand Xi, you have to understand the century of humiliation. From the Opium Wars to the Japanese invasion, China was carved up by foreign powers. The Communist Revolution was meant to end this, to make China strong again. Xi Jinping was born into the heart of this new China. His father, Xi Jinping, was a revolutionary hero, a close comrade of Mao Zedong himself. She was a princeling, a member of the new Red aristocracy, living a privileged life in Beijing. Then, everything fell apart. When she was just 9 years old, his father was accused of disloyalty and purged. Xi Jinping's father was jailed. The Cultural Revolution had begun. This was a time of chaos, where neighbors turned on neighbors and children denounced their parents. It was a brutal lesson. In the world he was growing up in, you were either the hammer or you were the nail. Xi Jinping chose to never be the odd one out again. At just 15, she was one of millions of sent-down youth. City kids exiled to the countryside to learn from the peasants. He was sent to Liangjia, a poor, remote village in the barren Loess Plateau. His new home was a yaodong, a traditional cave dwelling dug into the side of a dusty hill. The conditions were horrific. Fleas were so bad, he said he could bite them in his sleep. The work was grueling, and the isolation was crushing. Most of the other privileged kids from Beijing couldn't take it. They broke down, ran away, or used their family connections to get back to the city. But she didn't. After a brief escape, he voluntarily returned to the cave. He stayed for 7 years. While others rebelled against the system that had destroyed their families, Xi did the opposite. He decided to master it. He worked relentlessly, earning the respect of the local villagers. He helped them build a methane digester, a rare piece of technology in that poor region. He was becoming a leader. He applied to join the Communist Party, the very organization that had imprisoned his father and tormented his family. They rejected him. He applied again and again. 10 times he applied before they finally accepted him. He wasn't trying to destroy the system. He was learning how to lead it, to climb it, so that it could never hurt him or his family again. The cave wasn't his prison. It became his university. After Mao's death and the end of the Cultural Revolution, his father was rehabilitated and Xi's political fortunes were restored. He could have stayed in Beijing and enjoyed a comfortable career. Instead, he made a calculated decision. He started at the bottom, taking a low-level post in a rural county in Hebei province. This began his long, patient climb. For the next 30 years, he moved methodically from province to province, from Hebei to coastal Fujian, then to neighboring Zhejiang, and finally to the financial hub of Shanghai. Throughout this journey, he cultivated a specific image. He was known as the Great Quiet One, while other ambitious officials, like his charismatic rival Mao Zedong, were flashy, loud, and constantly seeking the spotlight. Xi was disciplined, cautious, and deliberately boring. He avoided scandals, kept his head down, and focused on practical, unglamorous issues like economic development and administrative efficiency. He played the long game. To the party elders in Beijing, he looked like a safe pair of hands. They saw a man who was predictable, reliable, and most importantly, controllable. They thought he would maintain the status quo. They were profoundly wrong. In 2012, Xi Jinping reached the top. He became General Secretary of the Communist Party, and almost immediately, the Great Quiet One became a man of decisive, ruthless action. He launched the largest anti-corruption campaign in modern history, promising to go after both tigers and flies, powerful leaders and petty bureaucrats alike. The Chinese people, who were fed up with official corruption, overwhelmingly supported it. It was a stroke of political genius. Over the next few years, more than 4 million officials were investigated. High-ranking generals, powerful ministry heads, and provincial leaders were taken down one by one. Many of them, conveniently, were Xi's political rivals and threats to his authority. He used the legitimate anger of the people to eliminate his enemies and dismantle the collective leadership model that had governed China for decades. He systematically centralized power. He took personal command of the military, reigned in the country's powerful tech giants like Alibaba and Tencent, and enshrined his own political philosophy. Xi Jinping thought into the party's constitution, placing it on par with the teachings of Mao Zedong. The system of checks and balances, designed to prevent the rise of another dictator, was effectively gone. Today, Xi Jinping is more than just a president. He is the core of China. He has removed presidential term limits, paving the way for him to rule for life. The boy, who was once humiliated by the state, has become its ultimate architect, redesigning it in his own image. He survived the chaos of the Cultural Revolution, endured 7 years in a cave, and patiently outmaneuvered all his rivals to achieve a level of personal power not seen since Chairman Mao. The question for the world is no longer about how he rose to power. The question is, what does he plan to do with it? Thank you for watching. If you want to understand the forces shaping our world, be sure to subscribe.